Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right, there we go. Hey, welcome everyone to the August the 6th meeting. Commissioner Brumel could not be with us this evening. She had a little bit of minor surgery, not so minor surgery, but she should be back home on Friday, which is fantastic news for all of us. Hopefully she might be on the Zoom today. All right, minutes of July 16th. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes? Got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Motion to approve the financial report and payment of the bills.
So moved.
We have got a motion and a second. The only comment I'd still like to make again, I think I've been making it every meeting and I just want to make it just to be on record. I was looking at our bill again from KCI. I was thinking that they had some of that back billing in the process from before, but it's this month it's $123,680 for the last couple amounts of payments. So I just wanted to make everyone aware of that. And, seems like it goes up instead of steadies out, but any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Motion carries. All right, ordinance 3-2025 critical area update. Gene, are you on?
No, I'll comment on that.
You got it.
This ordinance, the public hearing for this ordinance, zoning ordinance was held by the planning commission, on June 9th. Then the mayor and commissioners held a public hearing on the 16th and was accepted introduction. No questions answered, no questions, comments, or outstanding, viewpoints, for lack of a better term, are on this. So I recommend that the board adopt the critical area component of the Elkton zoning ordinance.
Very good. We have a motion to accept ordinance 3-2025, the critical area update.
So moved.
Got a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion on that? Hearing
Mayor,
none,
I am online if there's any questions.
all right, thank you. Scared me.
Sorry about that.
Any questions or comments, board? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Gene, it passed. All
Great,
right,
thank you.
you're welcome. Thank you for all the work on that. You know, there's a lot of time and effort that goes into that. Okay, next up, we have the discussion on the Singerly Fire Department annual contribution. So we've been going back and forth, that I think is Singerly knows and our board knows, and it's been we absolutely feel that there's a need to do more for Singerly Fire Company, and we know that. And we came up with a couple options that we've been going back and forth through many emails between the board and staff and so forth. And we came up with 3 different scenarios. And Tyler, you mind if I read these out?
Sure.
So we took the information that was circulated from the Singerly's audited financial statements and the required annual IRS filings. And we were looking at how does that marry with the tax rate increase that we may have to make for that. So we were trying to plan out, you know, what's our 5-year plan? What if we make this right now and we look at it, make a charter change or a resolution change? It may be easier said than done with the next group or next board of mayor and commissioners. Maybe easier, maybe tougher. But we came up with a couple options. One was, you know, possibly do a average tax base growth, tax base growth of 5% over the next 5 years. That would possibly give you that additional $1 million contribution, and it could come up as much as $1.5 million in that. There was a lot of questions in that with the team. Option 2, we were looking at maybe do a specified lump amount each year, that we would specify that amount tonight, for example, and that's what we would do, for the next X amount of years. Using the word, it could be even done in perpetuity, but that kind of locks us in also. Option 3 is kind of where we're looking at settling with. Option 3 would be to consider a lump sum amount annually to supplement the existing contribution rate calculation. The amount to be determined by the town based on the town's budgetary needs and determinations. Singularly would have to make a supplemental funding request annually to us with supporting case for that, that would be part of the process. So each year you've been, I think the last several years, you've been showing us all that information. So it hasn't changed. We see the projections for that each and every year. So we're kind of putting this out on the table for discussion, that this would be a way to, I would say it would have to be maybe every January. You make that presentation to the board, and there will be a commitment. I think we could even do a whereas type commitment that there'll be a supplement to the amount of dollars, but we would want that to be reviewed by, our staff for that dollars amount. Right now, if we raise the tax rate to or 6.46 cents for Singerly Fire Company, I think it would be great. But we would also like to make sure that these projects that we have coming in are really real. We feel extremely comfortable they're real and it's growing, but it would put the town in a committed, which we are committed. I don't use that word against me. We are committed that we want to make sure that you're well funded. And I know that there has to be some trust with that. And I can tell you, as I'm sitting here, if it comes down to where we all digest those numbers and you say next January, we need this amount of money and you can show it to us, we're going to support, well, I can say I can support that. Now, any feedback from the board? Do you see where I'm going with this?
Well, I'm all for it. I mean, they deserve everything we can give, everything we can.
Feedback, give me some comment. I mean, I know it's kind of,
if you, on January 1, we have to make our presentation and,
yeah,
and you say, okay, this is how much money we're going to give you this year. And you didn't have that 6 cents added to, the tax base. Where's the money going to come from on that January 1?
it'll give you the ability on July 1 to raise that tax. So what you would do is you would make your presentation as part of the budget process, like we do with all other departments. Am I,
No, what, Tyler and I had discussed this, and just to clarify something, typically the town gets the concealed tax rate in February.
okay,
So that's what we take that concealed tax rate, that's the net assessable base of town. We multiply that by 1.2 cents, which is the current, per 100, for singularly. And that'll tell us the base amount that they would get based on the charter calculation.
yes,
Then Tyler would review for Form 990, I guess it is, thanks for the previous year, because from the previous year, and any projected expenditures that they may have. And then we calculate how that fits into our budget based on our operating capital and debt service and all that. So that's how we would do it.
So I think what the, comment would be is if we 100% agreed that we had to give a lot, then the only option would be to raise the tax and the tax rate.
Well,
Yeah.
the tax rate, any adjustment to the tax rate would be based on the need for operational costs, capital expenditure by the town, debt service, things of that. In addition to that, the single fire company increment might be necessary, depends on how much you want to give the fire company.
Does that answer anything or I guess you kind of follow where it is to a degree?
The budget is adopted till May, and that's when the public hearing is set your tax rate, that's when the nailed down in concrete at that time.
It's this is not easy. I think we all recognize that. It's not easy. And, I think everyone that's sitting up here wants to do as much as we can, if not more, for Singer Lake Fire Company. You guys are that important to us. It's always the challenge from some of the feedback that we've been getting as we've been floating some of these ideas is that not everyone wants you to raise your tax rate to lock that in. And it's not an easy sale out there and listen, I think I can normally sell somewhat good, but not all the time. But that's kind of what we're thinking. I'm not shutting the door to anything, but give that some thought. It's a two-way street here. And, but that's kind of where we're thinking. And I
We
think
know
it
that
has
we know
merit.
the minimum number for the next 20 years. We've already laid that out. Given the anticipated growth and, the anticipated expenses. So we already kind of know all those numbers. We know when things need to be replaced and,
Mhm.
you know, it's gonna be a fluctuation in, as the economy changes up and down. But generally speaking, we know what the big number is.
We knew that we needed to get to $1 million here by 2027 or whatever it was. We knew that, right? We know that. And I'd say next year, when I say next year, the proposal is coming in, but I'm relying on our staff also to review the numbers and give us some additional information. And that's kind of where we're at. If there's additional information, in fact, I would almost say it might be good that your finance guy maybe meet up with Tyler and have some discussions with him also.
And I guess the concern would be, we know that the minimum level that needs to be funded starting
Yesterday.
this fiscal year for us,
Okay,
which would be before your next fiscal year. The current fiscal year, moving forward needs to be $1 million as the base. And I think that was why our discussion centered upon the tax rate increase, because that locks in that foundation. And projecting out, looking at our operations, both capital and operational, we need to solidify that $1 million moving forward every year without an addendum each fiscal year. For example, as we look at operations, we know that we've delayed hiring additional personnel to meet the service needs because we don't have the funding for it. So locking in that charter change in the next fiscal year to start July 1 next year was an imperative to ensure that we have that money. So next year we can add that it's 8 people. It equates to a little over $650,000 to do that.
was that information about hiring additional people in the information that you gave to us?
Yeah.
The last presentation.
Okay.
So for us, you know, right now, we are understaffed. Our call volume wise, our dropped rate of calls that we aren't able to respond to, as well as our understaffed calls where we're not fully staffed going on calls, has increased, which now we rely on other resources between the county, Chesapeake City, Newark, Northeast, Rising Sun, to pick up that load
Mhm.
because we're behind in hiring the people that we need to hire, waiting for the funding to come. Obviously, we won't make any moves that will compromise our existing operation by expanding too fast, but we're delaying. We've been about a year and a half in delaying hiring those additional people to meet the service needs. Right now, just the county resources alone, we went from getting assistance from the county on roughly 8% of our calls to, as of June's numbers, we were relying on them 20% of the time, 27% of the time. So a significant shift to where now they have to overcompensate because of our additional shift in need.
Has the county agreed to increase anything for Singerly at this point?
Now, they're doing a system evaluation across the board with all the departments, working with the county advisory board, the new county administration's office. There are 2 new medic stations they're building. They've just done some personnel realignments to meet the county local needs and operations. So any change in service from us puts a strain on the entire system.
So 25% of the calls in the county, entire county, are in the town limits of Elkton. So Elkton is a pretty significant part of the county's need, if you will.
And I would tell you, we love everything that you're doing. We absolutely do. I'm not saying this was, you know, our first part of the discussion. This is the kind of 3 options that we kind of put together. I know what option that you guys would want. And I'm just putting it out there for the whole board to speak with, and it's a little unfair that Jean's not here to be able to also give her input also. But we were via the emails looking at this, and we felt that the supplemental budget was not necessarily an easier way to do it, but it gave us a little bit more. You're gonna share your information with us. We're gonna take where we're at as a town, and if there's part of a big pie, that's what we're gonna do.
But that system allows for, say, there's a different group of people up here, you know, in the future, that they can say, well, we're not gonna do that this year.
And I'll tell you, one little hiccup, and it's not a little hiccup, it was a big hiccup. I think everyone in this town got an increase in their taxes this year by anywhere from 19 to 24%. I just don't know if it's the right time to throw another 6 cents on, or 7 cents.
Okay, so where would the money come from then?
Well, at this point, I gotta see what the auditors have said, and if we have additional dollars left at the end of each year. I can't answer that yet at this point. I want to answer it.
So right at this moment in time, if we were on that system, would you have $1.2 million in excess available?
I don't think we do, but I would say to you that with the growth of what we're having in the town, which isn't nailed out yet, and with also a more year by year number, I think it would be easier to pound that at little smaller bit of tax. Way I feel anyhow. Now, I could go the other way too, because I've told you before, I could go the other way. But I think that, let's just kind of leave that on the table. Let's continue to discuss it a little bit. And you had a comment?
I just made one comment that, again, we all said how we feel about the fire department, what we know we have to do with everything. But we sort of had the same situation with the department, from the police department. We've done everything we could to struggle and try to find extra dollars. We know we didn't have it in the budget, and we rely on our finance people to actually find us whatever we can get. Based on what Rob is saying, I think he's just saying that we're doing everything we can to find the money, but we don't have it as of now. But we can, I don't want to use the word guarantee, we seek to find the money for you. And my point is that the police department and the fire department are as far as the same equal, amount of energy we want to give to you guys like we did the police department. So we're gonna do everything we can. We're not giving up on you. I know that some of the officers thought we gave up on when we were losing officers to the county. One of the questions I was gonna ask is, can we find more money from the county to help us, make this thing work? So that's, I put in there.
I think we all feel the same way. So as of right now, we're looking at that, but let's wait until we have a full board up here to really hammer it home a little bit.
And this, now that we have at least what's under current consideration, it would give us a chance to look at the numbers and, because at the end of the day, we know you want to do it.
Mhm.
We know that we need to do it. What's smart for the town and community?
There you go.
We've got to work together, and
I think you couldn't have said it, I couldn't have said it any better.
so that's a goal at the end of the day. So let's take this, look back, and then the next meeting, hopefully Jean's feeling better and she's here. And we can have some give and take about what that looks like, and maybe a phase in to get to where we know we need to be. Because with all the increase in taxes and expenditures and everything else, I know how hard it is for everybody, but.
Thank you for understanding.
Did we get a copy of the three?
Yeah, we'll get that sent over to the guys. You can put that together, can't you, Tom?
I appreciate each and everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right, stick around for a demonstration. We're gonna see a demonstration here tonight.
Really well.
Daniel Lawfer, come on down. But Dan, you're gonna give us a little demonstration on the intelligent road management system.
Sir. Yes. Would it be okay if I'm gonna be presenting, would it be
Yeah.
okay if I stood over here just so I could talk to the room? Would that be okay?
I don't think that'd be a problem.
Excellent.
Well, that's an introduction, just from the DPW standpoint, this is where we got to this point. Long term, when it comes to payments, the way a lot of municipalities evaluate payments is, a lot of times they'll get an engineering intern, they'll come here for the summer, they wander around, look at the roads, not sure they're looking at, you throw out their data, then they come back and you come up with something which isn't the greatest to see what's what. So what I've been looking for the system for years, like, give me something where I can arbitrarily evaluate payments, kind of taking the human factor out, because, one person sees a bad crack, it could be just normal, that kind of stuff. So I reached out to my engineering firm, it's like, hey, find me something which is out there. Then that's how I met Daniel right there. It'll give you the whole process itself. It's a low-cost process. It actually helps determine, it's constantly getting data on the road. And then from there, it also does asset management. From there, I hand it off to Daniel Loffer from Biolytics, so it's all for you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, commissioners, local community members who have joined. My name is Daniel Loffer. I'm a senior manager at Biolytics. We are an AI-powered, what we're going to be talking about today, road and asset management tool. To give a little bit of a theme to our conversation today, I do have this very quick 2-minute video to show the crowd.
But Holland comes in for a pit stop. Time to refuel and change tires. Dewmore himself changes the tires. Only 4 crew members, including the driver, are allowed to work on the car. It's a tense time. Holland stays in his seat, anxious to get away. Let's walk.
And things have changed, haven't they?
Things have changed just a little bit.
I could have been on that pit crew. We could have done it. Me and you could have been the stars back then.
Getting a nice windshield clean.
The tires are changed at last. A crewman polishes the windshield as Holland moves away just 67 seconds after he stopped.
So that is going to be our theme. That is going to be our theme today, is taking what was previously a very laborious, lengthy process of going out and doing manual condition assessments on our roads, relying on citizen complaints, constantly calling in to report broken potholes, broken curbs, things of that nature. And typically, the status quo in fixing our roads on an annual basis has been fixing worst to first. So by deploying AI, which provides us with this data on a far more frequent and a far quicker basis, it will allow us to respond to how our infrastructure is performing on a far more proactive level. A little bit of background about our technology. We were founded in 2018 over in Stuttgart, Germany, very much part of their automotive innovation. Our two primary owners are Volkswagen and Scania truck manufacturer. They're the Mack truck of Europe. Since 2018, our technology has been growing very quickly. We are in 6 countries over in Europe. We incorporated here in the United States as our 7th country in March, April of 2023, and have been growing very, very quickly. We're now in 31 states and over 175 municipalities. Here in Maryland, we've so far deployed with municipalities like New Carrollton, Brunswick, Forest Heights, District Heights. We'll be launching with Cumberland, Maryland in a little bit, and we are continuing to grow. The reason that we've been able to grow so quickly and effectively is because our technology does not require us to come and install expensive hardware, sensors anywhere around town. We are truly just a mobile phone-based application. So you download an app onto your iPhone. We're going to take that phone, mount it to the windshield of any of our municipal vehicles. We obviously want good weather, a dry road, and as we drive, the user has a top speed of around 38, 39 miles an hour. I know it's a little blurry there, but our application will take a picture of the road every 10 to 13 feet, and using image recognition, we're able to perform a full condition analysis on the surface of the road, identifying up to 15 types of distress by their severity, by individual latitude and longitude. So this is no more having engineers go out or having people go out and create subjective reports of what they're seeing. This creates a granular understanding of what the condition of road exists like. And because we're able to repeat these assessments objectively on a more frequent basis, we can start to track how our infrastructure is performing. In addition to looking at the road, and just a quick note, the user does not see this as you drive. It would be a pretty big safety hazard if you saw all those boxes popping up. We're also going to create automatically an inventory of all of the storm drains, all manholes, and all of your street signs. And then on an ongoing basis, we're going to identify if there's damage to any of those assets as well. So especially now, we're in the middle of spring, summer, our AI will identify any of your traffic signs that are hidden, dirty, faded, or stickered, or I like when we identify when they become hidden by a tree branch as well. It will allow, again, your crews to very proactively go out and assess these very critical issues before they become more dangerous. Built into this automation is also for the ability, using our same mobile application, the goal is we're just trying to remove a lot of the unnecessary phone calls, text messages, emails, people across public works. I'm sure people sitting in this room have pictures of the town that are sitting on their mobile phones in their own albums. The goal is to switch that rather than these pictures sitting on your devices. We're going to encourage public works to now open up our app so that all of this imagery of your infrastructure, of your assets, of your parks, of your sidewalks, not only the road, all of that will now live in one open digital ecosystem so that we can track all of the life cycle management, not only of our roads, but any other asset in town. So besides for right-of-way assets like street signs, storm drains, manholes, we're also able to manually go out and collect data related to parks equipment, related to code enforcement, especially related to curbs or sidewalks as well. This will be a very easy digital tool that Dan and his team will have handy to use. Also, you'll be able to have access for yourselves as well through different admin user roles and rights. Can I answer any questions so far before I continue?
So if Dan and his team are gonna be using this, I guess each of the employees, wherever they are located, is gonna have one of those.
Correct. One of the things I'll talk about a little bit, but
Okay.
part of the pricing we put together is a number of complimentary iPhones for the town to have, so you wouldn't have to go out and procure additional mobile phone devices. You'll have a device just for collecting road data.
Will the phones integrate with each other, of course? So what if it's off a little bit? It'll identify that it's still the same road.
Yes, there is no duplication of data collected. We have towns that have 100 vehicles that are driving simultaneously, that are 1,000+ miles they're managing, and we have small boroughs. Up until 3 weeks ago, towns in Delaware was actually our smallest partner in the US. They're managing just 9 miles of Centerline Road. But the goal is for them, they're also able to manage all of these other assets and work orders through the same tool as well.
And you'll get to it, how it produces a work order.
Yes.
Okay.
So after condition assessments are completed, the user will have access to a cloud-based web application. So again, accessible from any computer, any iPad out in the field. We don't have to download any applications. It's going to, in this web application, we'll be able to very easily not only access the data, but Dan and his team will have tools to create action from the data as well. So for related to asset management, we'll be able to create ongoing recurring work orders to manage the life cycle of these inspections, different annual events that need to occur. From a road management perspective, I know you had mentioned developing a 3 to 5 year plan for managing specific things. When we're putting together our construction plans for our roads, we are no longer building a 3 to 5 year plan and sticking to it. Because typically by the end of year 1, the condition of our roads are already different from when we started our inspection. Rather, we can now perform and complete more frequent assessments to dynamically adjust our plans based on the need of the infrastructure. So if we had $1 million to spend and we know we needed to spend $800,000 to fix these 3 roads, we then want to identify where are we going to get the absolute best bang for our buck with mitigation strategy to prevent far more critical and expensive damage next year.
So who's gonna provide training initially?
We do
Okay,
on site. Our team will be on site. We'll go on ride-alongs, whether we're putting it up in sanitation vehicles, street sweepers, pickup trucks, minivans. The only vehicle we cannot mount it in is a sedan with a long hood. After we come in for a training, showing the crew how to collect data, our team will come back here, showing everyone how to actually use this tool. One of the things we're also very proud of, we are not just a software company. We meet with our partners on a weekly, bi-weekly basis, ensuring that not only the technology is being used, but that you're getting actual value from it. Right off the bat, significant savings that this will provide just from those condition assessments is that it's going to create a most up-to-date Google Earth, if you will, of what your streets look like on any particular day. So rather than having to jump into Google Earth to look at an image that's 3 years old, you'll have most recent images, but from an infrastructure management perspective, we're no longer sending engineers out or public works foremen to go out and do site visits when the first thing we now can do is log into the analytics and look at the most recent image of our right of way before deciding whether we need to dispatch a resource. Go look at that, do a site.
If you were to drive at night, would it pick up the night lights?
Unfortunately, for a
Streetlights.
condition assessment, we would have to be during the day with good weather. However, we do have other utility where you can actually drive at night. And I didn't mention this before, Dan liked this piece. We call this a Vialytics smart button. Right now, if you're driving around town and you see something in the right of way that you want to take note of, the status quo is to get out of your truck, take a picture, you figure out where you are, someone is getting an email or a text message. The button allows the user, if they see something in the right of way, all they have to do is click it. the iPhone will take a special picture with a geolocation and automatically seconds later generate a work order on Dan's screen. It's a safe digital note-taking device that the user can use to generate tasks, take notes while they're driving around, so they don't have to get out of the truck. A key use for this would be driving around at night and taking pictures manually, driving around during storms, identifying areas where you might have branches that are hanging low, where there's areas where there's flooding. And again, we want this digital imagery to all exist in the same system. So then when we look at pictures of our roads, maybe after a major weather event, we're able to do before and after analysis of the damage that was caused to our infrastructure.
To expand on the mayor's question,
Sure.
what the app is functionally actually in use, how does it handle other environmental issues? Because I see like in the video, there's no vehicles in front
Mhm.
when you're doing the condition assessment. If it was in traffic, what would
Sure.
happen? And then also, if you're going through during certain weather conditions like heavy rainfall, snow or ice coverage, puddles, things like that, in terms of the damage assessment, how does the
Sure.
app handle that? And then secondly, no less important, is there an Android version of the app?
To answer your first question, the limitations of doing the condition assessment are the same that a regular engineer would have. We're doing a human level visual inspection on the surface. So if we cannot see the surface, like if there's a truck blocking it, our AI wouldn't pick that up. Very similarly, if it were raining, if there were snow on the road, those would not be days where even an engineer would want to go out and do the actual condition assessment. During those conditions or times of day or weather events, we would still mount the phone, but rather than do a condition assessment, we would still use that same app just to take pictures and collect data. Our AI wouldn't be able to analyze those pictures, the road, since we cannot see the road. To answer your second question, at the moment, our condition assessment application is iPhone only, simply because we know what camera quality we're getting on the back of our iPhone models. With Android, there's a little bit of ambiguity in terms of manufacturer and the camera quality, picture quality that we're getting. However, it is in development. It's also one of the reasons that we equip a lot of our partners just with some iPhones to start. We'll also give you guys as many of these buttons as you need, phone mounts for all of your vehicles. And then we also have a black blanket that will go on the dash of the vehicle. It gets rid of the reflectivity into the lens of the camera. This is a couple of the other outputs of these condition assessments. So for MS4 stormwater management, it'll automatically locate the location of all of your storm drains, all of your manholes, and especially when we do a pre-winter assessment of our roads, our AI will also trigger a road safety alert if any of your storm drains or manholes are raised from the surface of the asphalt, so your plows won't hit them as well. This is what your traffic sign inventory will look like. Again, we need to see the front of the sign, but we're going to identify, create inventory of all MUTCD traffic signs, and then identify, again, those 4 damage types, if they're faded, if they're dirty or stickered, if they're graffitied, or if they're becoming hidden by a tree branch. The advantage of our technology from not only an asset management perspective, but from purely a road management perspective is we're negating the need for engineers to go out and do visual assessments of our roads, even on 35 miles of the road, depending who is looking at it, whether it's an engineer, whether it's anyone in this room. Again, our AI will provide a 100% objective assessment. It does not matter who is driving the vehicle. That's the goal of the technology. Yes.
Are you saying that anytime it detects something that needs to be addressed, a work order will be sent to Dan immediately?
It's not going to trigger a work order automatically, but if I were to do an assessment today and then assessment in 3 weeks from now, and a new crack appeared in the road, then our AI would identify that, and Dan would see a decrease in your score rating, and then I'd be able to identify there was no crack here 3 weeks ago. Now there is a linear crack. All right, did that answer your question?
Mm-hmm.
The other advantage, again, is we're able to repeat these assessments on a frequent basis. The Analytics, we're an unlimited use tool via an annual subscription. So we encourage our users to conduct to deploy our technology as often as possible. And again, we're able to use it for a lot more multi-dimensional things besides for just going out and doing road condition assessments as well. Here in the US especially, again, this is really our tool has evolved. We have partners, counties, boroughs that are using this in a lot of different functions. But more importantly, because we now have this very easy to use tool that can create objective records of our infrastructure, we can also now deploy this pre and post weather events, pre and post utility work. If there's an increase of heavy commercial vehicles on some of your local roads, we can now start doing more frequent assessments to create objective records of how our road is performing to understand causation behind what's going on as well. And this is the goal of our technology is if we're going to fix a road, it's not, we don't want to just ignore it for 15 years and wait for it to break again. We want to track the performance of that road. So if we're expecting 15 years of remaining service life, then we're guaranteed that 15 years of remaining service life from the work that we're doing. Dan and I, we met a number of different times with the team here as well. We also went down and collected some sample road data from your own roads. So again, this is what that'll look like here in Elkton. We're very proud of how quickly our data processes from after a condition assessment. I did that traffic circle over there. That was this afternoon. The reason you don't have an updated picture was because our AI finished processing it in a matter of hours. We say it'll take up to 30 days. Typically, it's 24 to 48 hours. Sometimes it's just a matter of hours as well. Here you'll just see on the screen, it'll just highlight where you have all of those storm drains and manholes. I know it's a little bit harder to see, but here you have an example of the AI detecting. Let me see if I can zoom in here. The AI detecting one of your traffic signs that's been blocked by a tree branch. One of the things that you'll see here as well is the idea is the AI has identified this directly from this image. Dan can generate a work order, assign it to the appropriate party, and rather than getting an email, text message, or a phone call, they get a little ping on their phone, just like an Uber Eats notification saying you have a new work order assigned to you. They can open up that work order with driving, walking directions directly to where they've been directed. They can complete that work, and then Dan receives a digital notification that work order is complete. And that's how we've created this very simple digital transformation of identifying issues in the right of way. We no longer are using pen, paper, and phone calls to report these things. There's just a very easy to use mobile application. Important to note, especially if there are local citizens that are following, we are 100% GDPR compliant. It's the highest level of data privacy over in Europe. In all of our images, we are blurring faces and license plates to ensure. And I had alluded.
Can we delete that if we wanted to look at the license plates?
Unfortunately not. We get that lost very quickly because we have a lot of police departments that our towns are using, our cities are using their police departments to collect data. Unfortunately, the data privacy is becoming so serious in Europe that in France and Germany, I believe, we are now working on blurring cats and dogs as well. Very, very serious. I alluded this a little bit earlier. We're very, very proud of our customer success. So from day one, our team will be here from training. We provide 24/7 customer tech support. If we need to be here on site, we will be here on site. Very much proud of not just being a software company, being an active partner of all of the municipalities that we work with across the country. Any questions?
How does the system differentiate between town roads, county roads, and state highways? There's a lot of state highways in the town.
Good question. So the system won't be able to differentiate, but the end user will be able to very easily filter for what is yours, what is local, and what is state. And a key benefit of this as well, because Elkton, you guys won't be paying for the assessments done on county roads. We're not really strict on that. This will provide Dan with a tool to start pinging your county liaisons every time you identify something on one of their roads. It'll no longer be a chain of emails and pictures. This is now a tool that will create documentation over time of we identified it, we notified you, we're waiting for you to do something. We did another inspection 3 weeks later. It's gotten worse. We notified you. We're waiting for you to do something about it. We don't delete data. So the more assessments that you do, you'll be able to jump back in time and look at this imagery as well. It will belong to Elkton at all times, all of the data. We do not do anything with it. Again, there's a lot of different use cases, benefits, functionality that comes through, just simple documentation of your right of way.
So is there a yearly subscription?
Yes, so our pricing model is we typically have an onboarding and a training fee and then follow it up with an annual subscription. The onboarding and the training fee, because we're very excited to grow here in Maryland, we were able to almost reduce discount that by 90%. And then there's an annual subscription. The town will have unlimited users, unlimited use, and it is based on your total number of center line miles that you guys manage.
So technology in itself, and I'm quite sure we all are familiar with this, and you talk about the data that's going to be returned to you, finding whatever in the road. So what must you do as a new user or a person to prompt this? Do you have to do anything or just download the app and then that's it?
That's what's great. Dan, do you mind handing me that case over there, my yellow case? There you go. So one of the reasons I joined the company is I'm not a tech person. I actually come from the bottled water industry. So we will come on day one. You'll have a button. Here's that blanket I talked about. We'll give you as many of these kits as you need. You download an app onto your phone, and then that's it. You're good to go. You can start to drive on any road. We can drive 50 feet. We can drive 50 miles. Doesn't matter. Unlimited use.
Are they pre-programmed to our system or to our base or?
Everyone will receive account very similar to having your own login for your email. Everyone will have a login email with their own password. You'll be able to set different permissions as well. So view only, edit only, delete only, depending on who's using the data. Another very cool function, for example, that's used especially here in the States is there's a feature called winter service, which you'll be able to essentially, if you bring on third-party plows or assault drivers during winter events, you can give them temporary access to the app and they can create digital traffic video of where they're assaulted and plowed. Excuse me.
That's good.
Bless you, rather.
And I guess I can chip in by saying if it wasn't economical, we wouldn't be here. It's truthfully say for that one, so that's the reason why.
Well, tell us the price.
Sure. Annually, it's be around $8,000 a year. It's ballpark around 200,
And that includes all the equipment initially?
everything. All in. There is a 90% discount on the onboarding training is typically $9,500. That's what we charge over in Europe. Here we discounted by 90% is $950. We're going to give you as many of these kits as you need. Also included as well, however, are also 3 brand new iPhones that will come with unlimited Verizon with data plans. So right off the bat, you won't have to worry about procuring new cell phones, but it can be downloaded. It's bring your own device. So our app is in the App Store. You can download it onto as many additional phones as you'd like as well.
So Dan, where would you find the necessarily need for your men to have this and how many?
I would say, off the top of my head, we would start with that, with the inspectors and then with all the management kind of stuff. We'd probably start with at least 10 units to start out with. Then we'll see how the data goes out. And what I understand about the data, talking to Daniel, is as we get data, we'll talk with Violetics, see what's wanted. If we need more data, that's how it goes the same way. So the system itself will expand as much as we're allowed to expand. At the same time, as we go through it with the team, we'll figure these things out, see what works out better for us. So that's the beauty about it.
So you got them out.
Are we leasing or buying the units?
The cell phones or
The units to go in the vehicles?
the cases will be giving to you guys, but really, actually, the most expensive thing of this whole thing is the actual case itself. Because really all you need is a phone mount and a black blanket in order to do the condition assessment. And then we'll provide you the buttons as well. What Dan was referring to is we're going to initially, our initial milestone, our initial focus is to complete a full road condition analysis of all your roads, get a complete sign inventory, get a complete storm drain inventory, get a complete manhole inventory. We'll be able to update all of your previously created GIS maps as well. And then we have a base map. Once we have a base map, we can start understanding, there's a tool in here for construction planning. You'll be able to put in your annual budgets for construction, maintenance, your estimated costs, working with your engineers to build out a construction plan. From an asset management perspective, whether it's your Parks and Rec department, whether it's your code enforcement, whether it's sanitation, everyone will receive their own individual training based on how they are going to be using the application. The goal is that everyone is using the same system. So that when information needs to be accessed, everyone can log into the same system and it's available to them. Another key proponent of this is we're finally creating digitalization of where our assets are and showing that we have an actual life cycle management plan in place. Even something as simple as your disabled parking spots or your ADA ramps, it's not enough to just know where they are on a map. We need to have reoccurring work orders that simply just ping someone once a year that says, we need to do a visual inspection on these assets. They're critical and they're liability. The same thing should be for your parks equipment, swing sets, things that especially children are touching on an annual basis. We should probably doing visual mechanical inspections on our parks equipment at the beginning of summer once a year as well. So this is just very easy digitalization of understanding this is our infrastructure, these are assets, these are the resources and what it takes to manage these assets on a life cycle basis. And very similarly to understanding where we're getting the best bang for our buck with the resources that we have, this is a tool that allows us to do that.
My last question, and since you talked about assets,
Mhm.
this being new, so where are your weaknesses?
As a technology or as a company?
With the machinery, the technology?
Sure. Very similarly to any software company, we're mobile based. So I would say very like any other app you have on your phone, occasionally it'll be a little buggy and you'll have to close the app and restart it. But again, you can speak to hopefully many of our partners, not only here in the US. We've been very successful is because everyone mostly at this point knows how to use, has a smartphone and can use a basic mobile application. And when you keep these applications very simple, they become very easy to maintain, to monitor, to train, and for the user to pick up and very simply get an understanding of what they're looking at and how to use it.
Do we need Wi-Fi signal to download the information, or is it sending the information via
Data?
data?
Sure. So any work order picture, if I take a picture in this room right now, it'll upload into the cloud immediately. Assessments that are taken of the road, so actual condition assessments, best practice is to connect the phone to Wi-Fi at the end of the assessment. The pictures will delete off the phone and then upload into the cloud. Our AI will process them. You can 100% use a data plan. It's just much faster via Wi-Fi. So, if you drive 30 miles, you've probably taken maybe 15, 20,000 pictures. So they will upload and process quickly via Wi-Fi. The expectation, again, we encourage as much data collection as possible. If you can do this once a day on every single one of your roads, that would be incredible. Obviously, a little hard to do that. We do quarterly business reviews where we anticipate that you guys are taking millions and millions of pictures every year.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have any?
Can you talk about in as much detail as you can about how the programmatically, how the system, the app assigns severity to a road defect, for example, like if you had a crack, how is it determining that one's minor, not really needing immediate attention? Oh, this one's severe, causing the score of this condition to go down. How does that differentiate and actually determine that in as much detail as you
Sure,
can?
absolutely. So depending on where we are, and our company was actually born, well, let me rewind a moment. Civil engineers, and I'm not a civil engineer, but there are different methodologies or scoring systems that civil engineers will use when they go out and rate a road. Here in the US, a very, very fluent one that most engineers are familiar with is PCI, Pavement Condition Index. It's a 0 to 100 scale. 100 means you have the perfect road. 0 is absolute worst, critical. There's another scoring system in the Midwest here in the US called Pacer scoring. That's a 1 through 10 scale as well. In Europe, the primary language that engineers use is called EMI. That's a 1 through 5 scale. And again, all of these are based on a civil engineer walking up to the road, doing a visual assessment, writing down what type of damage it is, and then assigning its own severity. What our AI is doing that same visual assessment. We are doing the same. We can use the scoring system of PCI, which is 1 through 5, or I'm sorry, EMI 1 through 5, or PCI 1 through 100. Our AI using image recognition is going to do that same assessment that a human would do. The difference being is that when a human approaches that same crack, it could be the exact same damage to the roadway, but they look at it on Monday and look at it on Thursday. On Thursday, if they're not in the same mood, they might give it a 10-point score worse than they did on Monday. And if we have different engineers that are inspecting our roads on different days at different cadences, that's when it becomes even more ambiguous. So our scoring outputs, and Daniel, you'll be able to choose between the scoring systems that you're using, will provide an objective rating to all of these individual points and your segments. And we're using image recognition to identify severity and type.
I have one last question.
I know exactly what he's talking about. There you go.
You see the conditions of the roadways on the surface. Is there any technology that detects sinkholes underneath the cracks?
Sure. So there is technology. There's one called LiDAR, which is basically the deployment of a vehicle that can cost upwards of $500,000. It's outfitted with very, very sophisticated sensors, lasers, radar, things that are bouncing sounds off the surface of the road that will give you depths, cracks, and can, again, give you an indication of what's going on in the subsurface. Very, very expensive. And again, we can't deploy it frequently.
Yeah, so nothing in this system works.
Nothing in the subsurface. What it would be able to do, and this is the goal, is it won't identify subsurface, but because we're able to do more frequent inspections, we can identify things on the surface that are indicative of subsurface issues. So for instance, right off the bat, it's hard to see. Our system will give, right off the bat, we do a full inspection. Our AI will give you these basic reconstruction proposals, identifying where you have to do pothole seals, where you have crack sealing, and identifying roads that it recommends doing a full depth reclamation on them as well.
Very good. Anyone else have any questions or comments? Lou?
Use this on the Audubon?
Good question. We are in the middle of, we are in the middle of testing what we're calling ludicrous mode, which is condition assessments at speeds of 60 to 70 miles an hour. Not on the Audubon just yet, but I did one for 50 miles on the New Jersey Turnpike this morning, and it worked near flawlessly. Hopefully you don't have any 60, 70 mile an hour roads in town.
We do.
That would,
That's posted.
you'd be having a lot of other different conversations if you.
Sorry, help.
Yeah, you're right.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for the presentation. And I'm sure it's something we definitely have some deep interest in.
Appreciate that. Thank you all for your time. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Lou, you're on.
Next thing I have is resolution R7, 2025. Surplus property. It's been a list made. I think the board should have a copy of it. There's 4 vehicles and then, not counting the John Deere, and other equipment that's used by or was used by the Department of Public Works, have declared surplus or due to its condition, service life or things of that nature. And we sell all this property at Ritchie Brothers in Northeast and been very successful and recovering quite a bit of money through the sale of this equipment. I recommend that the board enact resolution R7 2025 authorizing the sale of this is the property by Ritchie Brothers in Northeast.
We have a motion to accept resolution R7 2025.
That's a move.
Second.
And a second. Okay, discussion. Dan, there's a light tower on this. Is this a light? Did we replace the light tower or?
This is an older one. We haven't used it in years.
Okay. And I'm assuming the air compressor is very similar.
Yeah, haven't run in years.
And I would say that most of the Smith spreaders was something we already replaced.
Exactly, well, the Smith spreader, the vehicles they go with them have been going for a while, so.
Okay.
Mhm.
Anyone else have any, questions or comments?
What happened with this 2021 Explorer that got totaled? No, that,
Police part and excise.
oh,
That was a couple years ago. I remember it was last year. That was the accident.
We've had a couple.
Yeah.
It was-
All right, any other comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
I,
Motion carries. Get them to Ritchie Brothers.
That's all I have.
All right, thanks, Lou. We had, a while back and at the, last first meeting in, July, we've had some comments about, the water and sewer rates for, companies that recycle water. And, we've been going back and forth and finance department put together, 4 solid scenarios on how maybe we can work on, the recycling of water. Currently, the way the town of Elkton water and sewer rates, the way that they work is that, we have a residential rate. But if you use over X amount of gallons, the rate actually goes up. And we do the same thing for businesses. So if you're a business in Elkton and you're using well over 1 million gallons, your rate is probably twice that of a residential property owner. It's good and it's bad. You know, it's one of those things that it's just the way it's been in the town of Elkton ever since probably we got water and sewer here. But most, I would tell you, most municipalities actually go the other way. The more water you use for your users of your industrial, the rates actually come down. So if you're a larger, you have a set rate, it never goes below a residential rate, but your rate doesn't dramatically go up. So for example, like a large user, like to put it in perspective where some people may or may not be aware of it. Let's say our rate at home is $5.41 for a 0 to 30,000 gallons. But someone like Christiana Care, who might be using 2 million gallons, their rate is $16.95. So you can see it's a dramatic increase in the rate of water, which also means an increase in the rates of services and so forth. Now, we're going to talk about that at a later date when we do our next water and sewer study. But the one we wanted to talk about was the folks that recycle water, and creating a car wash rate is what it would be. Car washes use a lot of water. And those rates, once you start getting up into those dollar amounts, it makes it very difficult for these car washes, quite frankly, to survive and based on these rates. So we went through 4 different scenarios, creating flat rates for both water and sewer, creating a tiered water rate and a flat sewer rate. We even created a tiered water and flat sewer rate, and then we did a cap the tiered water and cap the sewer rate. Well, when we looked at all this and we went back and forth, I think I'd like to propose to the board and is a rate of we're going to call it a car wash rate, and then kind of freeze it to where their bill is based on the $200,000 to $300,000 rate. That doesn't mean you're not billing them for 1 million gallons. It's meaning that you would bill them at that $200,000 to $300,000 rate. So what does that do? To give you an example, currently it's not a dramatic savings for them, but it could be $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a quarter for a car wash that's spending in upwards of $36,000 to $37,000 a quarter, it could give some substantial savings to them, a 10% savings. So that's what I'd like to propose to the board. I think by the next meeting, we can actually have the language together, how we're gonna do it. They have to make sure that they're a percentage of recycled water. And that's what I'd like to propose. Any kind of comments or discussion, or you think this is the right direction, not the right direction?
No, we looked over it and, it seems fair.
I think it's truly fair. I spoke to Commissioner Rummel tonight before we came in, and it was something that she would go along with also. So if the consensus of it is, then we'd ask Lou and Tyler to put together
Let's amend the ordinance.
amend the ordinance for it.
And
And
have to amend the ordinance with that language, because you can't violate your own ordinance.
that's right.
So you'd have to come up with language that,
So come up with some language that would lock them into that billing tier of $200,000 to $300,000 billing tier. It's still double what a resident would pay in their rates, and it's still charging a sewer rate. And I think it's just a fair thing to do. You guys good with that?
I'm good with it.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you. I have nothing else to discuss. Oh, I do have one more thing. Lou, we received the email from Cheryl Ritter. And it was, talking about pouring a sidewalk at 243 Locust Lane and Douglas Street. And I see some drawings here. Dan, did we go out and take a look at that?
no, that's Dan.
Dan, is this something you think you could do?
Let me double check it. I mean, I'm familiar with it, but I have to look at it again. So let me see what's going on at 243.
I looked at it and I looked at a couple of videos that was sent to me, and if there's any way that we can help keep people off of her property, we probably need to. And if it means helping with the sidewalk along there to keep residents on the sidewalk. Did you guys see those?
I've seen something like that for,
Yeah. What's that?
I know.
Yeah,
We didn't mention it.
all right. That was the only comment. Let's take a closer look at that and see if there's some resolution we can do there. All right, this is the time of the meeting. We open up the floor for anyone in the town of Elkton that has anything to say for the good of the town of Elkton. Pat?
Minus us.
Oh, I forgot you guys already.
Go.
How'd I forget you guys already? Go ahead, Pat.
On Friday night, we had a, event downtown hosted by the Elkton Alliance. And it was, not a car show, it was a car cruise. And we had a lot of expensive cars parked along Main Street and all of North Street. Well, we had a couple kids down there on bikes. And they were just doing pop wheelies and, the stuff kids do on bikes. Well, all of us asked them nicely if they could stop doing it. Because the people that own these cars were getting really nervous. In fact, we have found out since then, a few of those people have put posts on Facebook. And they may not ever come back to Elkton again because of these kids. We asked them politely, the police asked them politely, we did everything we could. What I'm asking is if, say the Alliance puts out a sign, sandwich board or something that says, no wheeled vehicles of any kind. Meaning bikes, skateboards, whatever else kids ride nowadays. If we can legally do that, and then if they continue to do it, because these guys were, pardon my language, they were just a couple smarties. Okay, if we post something, can it be enforced?
I'd have to look at Mr. Dave Bestie and ask his comment, but I can tell you one time we talked about during the Fall Fest a few years
That's
ago.
another thing, Fall Fest is coming up. so
Yeah,
they decide
at
they
Fall
wanna ride
Fest,
their bike.
we were advised that we could mark off the area, because we were concerned about people not having shirts back then, right?
Uh-huh.
And we could, it's a I don't want you to say a private event, but it's a special event, and these are our requirements. Is that,
For clothes.
Dave, what do you think?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, if the streets are closed, especially in order to protect the assets of the people participating in the event, I think to have some sort of, discretionary measures to make sure that there isn't something there that could damage their vehicles. I think that's prudent and lawful, just like it's not lawful to ride your bike on the sidewalk, right? Technically, I mean, there are certain laws there for the safety of pedestrians, and if it's there to protect the assets for a specific period of time during a special event, that makes sense.
And would you, guys, it should be posted multiple places down there, correct?
Yes.
And I would say maybe create how you want it posted. And we'll get them printed up, and for our special events down there, we'll post them.
Well, let me, a follow-up.
Mhm.
If we do that and we still have a problem, if we address one of the officers, can the officers do anything?
Can it be enforced?
Can it be enforced?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was there and it was three of them. They were very bad. And that's the only way to sum that up. But I think if you had an officer there or some officer, that was the only thing that they were paying attention to. Maybe somebody with a badge and they would have moved on. Somebody else, they were giving you hell.
We had
But-
officers.
We have officers and they.
I did not see the officer where I was standing, and they may have been in another spot because they were over, as I call them, old Newberries in the middle where the pole is.
Yes.
And quite a few people asked them the same thing about riding their bikes on the sidewalk and just being obnoxious, but they wouldn't do it. But there's a difference in having a police badge and not having a police badge. So
So we had called EPD and they had come down to address this kids multiple times during the event.
Yeah, I did see it on Paso. Part of the issue we do have in juvenile laws, but I guess I can work with Dave and see, can we just take their bikes temporarily?
On the right, take their bikes.
Maybe we can do something
I
like
tried
that,
to
just
take
to, at a time, so that they can't use it, and they can come get it at the office, so they're gonna be okay with that for your parents. This is against,
I like it.
maybe we can do something like that.
I love it. In fact, I love that. I'll take responsibility for that.
and that's a good idea, but however, if you look at kids riding the bikes around Elkton, they don't obey any law whatsoever. They
They don't.
ride down the middle of High Street, they ride on sidewalk, they do whatever they want to do. So when you take into consideration what's happening also downtown, needs to be some information or what they're going to do when they're not downtown.
Yeah.
Because you can violate here, you can violate there. I know it's a problem, but that's the way kids are right now.
I know, I think the reason I'd be more comfortable doing this is because they just, like what, Mr. Bassett just said, is that it is a designated area, if we're gonna have signs out, and then it is to protect the people in that area at that special event or their.
It's the same as the no parking signs. People know they can't park there, not being towed away. So it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So just add it on.
Now, like I said, if something's downtown, we need to also look beyond downtown and look at where we live in different areas around town where that same type of behavior. So if you're talking about moving bikes there, what are you gonna do elsewhere? I'm just saying what's gonna be happening. Because you see a whole slew of them, Boot Street, Stockton Street. I mean, they just don't identify with whatever is written. They can always say they don't read, but that's a lie. But that's what's
I
happening.
would just encourage you to talk to your legislatures. These juvenile laws have made it almost impossible for law enforcement to do anything. And then even beyond us, they put some really restrictions on juvenile justice and even the courts in some of these cases. So we're all struggling to try and figure out how to do that because wow, it's hard. It's hard for us to do anything with juveniles right now, and they know it, And you're talking about, a simple nuisance crime. I mean, we're dealing with this even on a bigger level, with injury and hurt crimes against persons. So I hear you, and we're constantly trying to come up with new things and new ways we can deal with this. But how I'm gonna handle it in the neighborhood, I don't know. I'm just,
That's all I'm saying.
well, yeah, no, and listen, across the state, I'm on these calls with regional chiefs and, across the entire state, we're having issues with this, with motorbikes, with four-wheelers, with, bicycles. you know, where there's actual vehicle takeovers. They're coming up swimming vehicles and taking them. I mean, these are,
Nationwide epidemic.
it's horrible. It's horrible.
The only question, I'm all for this, the only question I would have, what if a family decided to ride their bikes to Fall Fest? Is there a place that they would be able to safely secure them? Because they're gonna abide by the rule.
Listen, that's a great idea, and I think you'll have to provide a bike parking area outside the event.
You can
We have a
walk,
bike
you can walk your bike.
Town hall.
No, it's a great idea. I think it makes sense. We will provide
If
that.
you could direct them to, hey, you can't ride it.
Yep. If we have that special event down there, we'll have an area designated for the bikes. I like it.
It's not so much the bikes, it's kids won't stop riding. It's the riding of the bikes.
I like
have
that
problem with.
confiscation of the bikes. I think that, I mean, it's gonna be temporary, right? But after that's over, you.
Yeah, that's it. And if we could just legally do that, I think that would solve the problem. We appreciate you.
All right, I saw a comment over here. Yes, ma'am, your name and address.
Mary Jewel, I live on Mental Street, Metro Heights. I just have, just wanted some information on, do we know the status of the house at 247 East Main, the apartment building that burned so badly and it's sitting there, and Howard House? Do we know anything's happening with those two buildings?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure on 247, they're gonna rebuild. My understanding was that we approved, a couple meetings ago. They were in a little bit of a dilemma because if you built to today's code, their setbacks were gonna be further back than where it was currently. So they want to build back in the same exact footprint as they're at. So I know that that's happening. I feel pretty comfortable to say that that's happening. And then the old Howard House or the old Minahane's place. My understanding, the last time I spoke to him, he was looking at starting at the end of summer. Now, I don't know of any more, any less, but he's wanting to rebuild that back to historical standards. Multiple rental units on the top two floors. And he's looking for a restaurateur to take over at least the bottom section. And if they're a solid restaurateur, he'll give them two sections, the first and second floor.
Thank you.
Yep. Yes, ma'am.
Margie Gladstone, 14 John Adams Lane. I wanted to ask what the status was of the mess that has been left at Delaware Avenue and the pedestrian bridge.
Well, Dan, you'll probably have to answer the question about the bridge. I think that my understanding, the bridge did it not pass certification?
There was something happened with the bridge where they had to repaint it, so that part got repainted. Then what happened was, I'll try to cut the chase on this one. Due to the existing conditions, because I think the creek was deeper than they thought, they had to modify the foundations. The contractor sent it to the state highway, and they still looked at it for 4 months before they decided to approve it or that kind of stuff. So there was a second change order out there now, and I think the contractor is fighting with the state to get approval before they bring the stuff out there. We had a meeting on the 8th, and they talked about putting in new pricing, but I haven't heard anything, and I'll get an update probably about the second week of August, so it's between the contractor and the state right now. That's all I can tell you.
They made a big,
I was gonna say the debris that's in the water and how ugly it looks along the Jersey barriers. We're on the state like all the time about doing that. We've asked them to clean up the island right there, and now it doesn't even look like an island. It looks like an extension of the bank.
It's a forest.
Yeah, of the bank there. It looks like the bank.
They just left a lot of construction mess and everything there, and it's
They have.
sitting there and it looks terrible, and they should be accountable for it.
And we've asked them over and over again. Dan, ask them again to clean that mess up if you wouldn't mind.
And we made a big point about how urgent it is because of the
The danger.
incidents, that happened there.
Yeah.
And now it turned out that we waiting for what? We don't know what we're waiting for, but it's still the potential of someone getting killed before somebody does something. So,
Thank you.
And we were talking about the bikes, and there's a lot of bike riders on Delaware Avenue at night with no lights on their bikes. They're all dressed in black. And I'll be honest with you, I've come close a couple times to nicking one of them. Because I use Delaware Avenue to go in.
Anyone else? Alicia?
Fall Fest is in 6 weeks,
All right.
period.
Are you happy?
Yeah.
Just wanna be sure.
Happy. The other thing I wanted to update you guys on is the farmer's market work with the electric. We've come to you and asked for permission and have that ongoing. I've been advised from AUI that only 2 more things remain. They need to put the light post up where the lights are gonna be attached to, and they need to patch the parking lot, I guess, where they took up some gravel. So that's, soon to be happening. The other thing is, and I know we've talked about this and Commissioner Massimiano has asked, but we've looked at ideas for what's gonna happen with those flower boxes. And that I know will be discussed at a future meeting, but in the next 2 to 3 weeks, like I have both businesses at Bow and West Main asking why something can't be put in those flower boxes. They put fake flowers in there and God bless them, great.
Look good. They look good.
Okay, is there anything that we can do short term? I know summer's coming to an end. I know flowers aren't readily available, but I don't know if it can be just stone, decorative stone or something, just to make it look nicer because they're getting a lot of activity on West Main and I would just love for it to look better. And then my last thing, if the board approves this work that these guys are doing, can I get like an iPhone and get access and send work orders to DPW?
Oh, no.
Thank you. Yes,
I'll cut that one off.
yes, sir. Your name, please.
Yes, Jamar Tolbert, and I also live on Mitchell Street in Friendship Heights. I was just, coming to, I guess, follow up on the patch job that has been done on Locust Lane and East Main Street. It looks like it is still continuing to leak, and it looks like it is also now spread to Locust Lane and High Street as well. I was just looking to see if there's any information on that, as I have called, and it seems like the person I speak to every time is just not happy to hear any sort of issue.
No, I can explain that one, yes, there's a valve there which we're trying to adjust to stop it from leaking. The trouble is, to be frank, we try to go out there in the middle of the night, if we can shut the water off, we can adjust it, but the trouble we're having is finding out the valves which shut it off. So we did a temporary patch job out there, then we need to go back out there and see if we can do a series of valves, so we can shut it off, and we can adjust the valve, that's what it is, the valve itself is leaking, so that's what we just need to get the parts, but to do it, we have to shut water off around the area, that's proving problematic at the moment, so.
Yeah, Mark said that before previously about that problem that he's asking, they wanted to be able to shut the street down at that corner.
Yeah.
And solve that problem.
That's what a lot of times we'll do in the middle of the night, we'll do it late at night, one time to see what's up, but we'll get geared up, because we got a couple active leaks now, so we'll probably get back to it maybe Monday next week or something in the near future. So.
Definitely leaking. Thank you for giving us that information.
Oh, we know.
All right. Charles, you have anything?
Real quick.
You've got a
Oh,
question.
yes.
Chris Walker, 128 that one. Are you guys responsible for the intersection of 213 and 40, or does that count?
No, say.
State.
That's state?
Yeah.
What's the hiccup? Well,
So I just have a quick, my office is on 35 August, right next to Royal Farms. I just had a quick little, if they would put a no turn on red there. We've had many accidents out there in front of our office, but if you put a no turn going eastbound, so the traffic going towards Chesapeake City, going south, you would break up a lot of that traffic. And the people trying to get out from Royal Farms or our office would have more time to get out. They're not trying to rush it.
so no turn coming from northeast, turning right.
Yeah, I mean, that was just a quick thing. I know it's not gonna solve everything, but the increase in traffic goes south, so I mean, it is what it is. But I think that's a quick little patch job.
Good suggestion.
So
Kathleen, can you put that together and ask the state highway to take a look and see if it makes sense to put a no right-hand turn?
or I mean, I can always put a sign up. If you need.
Thank you. I see exactly, when you're in Burger King, you can't get out.
That's true.
If you're in Burger King, you cannot get out, make a right-hand turn or a left-hand turn because of traffic.
Well, no, stop, but if you put the no turn,
It would,
breaking it up enough to where you'd be able to, now you're gonna run into people cutting across through Royal Farms, but now they're gonna have to sit and try to get out. I think it would deter a lot of people, and it's the quickest.
well, listen, it never hurts to ask them to take a look at it. They'll make the determination. We can ask, but, they'll make the
So
determination.
you can't get anything done, put on it.
There you go. Charles?
Let me see, Alicia, you asked the question, what can you do with the box? Sometimes when you ask a question, you can answer your own question, solve what you want, and it's done. Don't ask us, leave it to yourself. That makes sense? Good. Then you will always be satisfied, even if others don't, but that's your baby. But anyhow, for the ladies that are there, they were all at the car show and they did a good job. It was a nice turnout, the cars were very nice. And unfortunately, those people that were there, it's very demeaning when somebody writes a letter to you and say, we may not be back. So I don't know what you can do as an alliance to try to return a favor, a letter, because they've already called and said we may not be back, because you don't want them to take that and carry it someplace else. So, you know, maybe giving a letter or something to try to see what you can do. But it was very nice and you had some nice vehicles there.
Yeah, I don't know who they were and they deleted it off Facebook.
Oh, they did? Okay,
Yeah.
they deleted it.
Yeah.
And the other, Alicia, you went to Happy Grace the other night, and you're gonna bring back an answer to the problem that we asked about downtown with the music. I tried to ask Earl, but he didn't have an answer, so he said to wait till you came back.
They don't have an answer. I mean, they basically said that they didn't have any of the issues that we're having with the frequency and things, so they didn't really have any good input for me.
So Mayor, when you was absent, they had music in Happy Grace, but we supposed to have it downtown too, so we was trying to come up with some saving grace to get an answer, but obviously, that has not been determined yet. You have an answer?
I have no answer.
Yeah, I mean, it's been ongoing, obviously, since I've been here, because we had the speakers put up that were purchased prior to me coming to the Alliance. And I've had multiple people, Mike Brown and many other people that have looked into it, and here we sit still 2 years later with no sound coming out of those speakers. I honestly, it's been so long, I can't remember who told me that it potentially was a bump up against the frequencies that the town uses for water. What was it?
Video reads.
Yeah, the reads, and I don't know that there's gonna be an answer. I was told at a Main Street conference from one of the audio people that does this for other municipalities. He just said, if you're having a bump up, there's nothing anybody can do about it, because you can't change that. So,
Hardwired,
say again,
you can hardwire.
okay,
You don't have to do Bluetooth.
can we talk?
Yeah.
That's all I got.
That's it, that's all you got?
That's all I got.
Bam.
Anything else?
Republic Price Service has been a little poor, but Dan has pretty much answered the problem when there's one. And lastly, there's a rumor mill going out about the bowling alley. Mayor, what's going in there? You don't know either?
I don't know. I say
Lisa,
clean
you
it
don't
out.
know either?
I don't know.
Nobody knows? We're in bad shape.
Lewis will go over there tomorrow. They got the dumpsters out there. I see him dumping out. He'll find out for us.
Thank you, Lois, and that's it.
Hey, Oil Farms is going in there.
How's that? Go find it when he has.
Now, I just want to piggyback off the lines of, yeah, guys had a nice little event with the cars.
Oh,
I was down when the young kids were, I was sitting right with Rob. They were coming by, I identified every last one of them, so next time I'm gonna take some pictures. Show exactly who they are. But anyway, now, one thing I will say that when they have an event again down here, I do know that I speak for all the residents when they come up with an issue. If their grass was like, what, 12, 13 inches high for the Elkton lines. And there should be some little backup when they have an event. It would look bad down there. So I'm saying you, Dan, I know you're not the grass cutter, but somebody should have took care of that before that event took place. Am I right, ladies? Okay, so I did hear that comment from several people. And so if we have an event, we should be prepared for the event to make the town look like it's something. So that's just my comment. Okay, now other than that, E-Town had a Unity in the Community Day, which it was a good turnout. They told me to make sure that we let everybody know it's open to the public. Police officers too. He said they would love to see one of the officers stop and get a hot dog, but you guys didn't know or whatever. I'm just opening an invitation for them.
What was the event?
Unity in the Community down on High Street and It used to be College Street, South Street.
Is there somebody that organizes those events?
I'm just mentioning, I think the
Because
barber guy.
if there's somebody that you.
Go
could
through you.
contact Me, because we'll happily put it in our newsletter.
And
and get the
because
word
Dan
out.
stopped down, I think, if some of it worked, but
Yeah, I didn't-
they just wanted to let everybody know it was open to the community.
It didn't look like a public event.
And that's what I told him, maybe the advertisement was bad. I'm just throwing it out there. There's no negativity. They just wanted me to let people know that next year if they have it, it's open to everybody. Stop. Hot dogs, hamburgers, chicken, ribs, all kinds of stuff. But anyway, now let's see. Other than that, I don't have anything else to say.
All right, Robert?
First, for our next meeting, the workshop, Dan, will you have pictures for me from Bill?
September,
In September, we're gonna do this?
September workshop, right? Yes.
I thought we were gonna do it at the August workshop.
There's no workshop.
There's no workshop on the
Workshop.
13th.
Workshop.
That's why September, we got
So we
that.
moved it. All
Yes.
right, yeah, just make sure I get those pictures before them, please. I can comment on the bikes downtown. They've been a problem for some time. And they were most certainly a problem during Fall Fest. I love the idea of confiscating the bikes. I can imagine the problems that might lead to.
Yeah, me too.
Thanks for everything you guys do.
Be workarounds, not necessarily a confiscation, but we can keep them up.
As far as those boxes, the flower boxes on Main Street, you'd like to see those dressed up for Fall Fest, correct?
Just in general, the businesses that are
I
on
mean,
West Main are saying.
Anything that we're going to settle on doing with them, which I really like the great idea that we talked about. That's gonna be some time coming. So between now and then, you'd like to see these dressed up. And my thought as I sat up here was, why don't we do something simple? You have plenty of hay bales, mums and pumpkins that come in for Fall Fest. Can we dress them up with those?
Well, some of those things are loaned to us and they only are there for the event.
Right, and do you have them spare that we can dress up some of the boxes?
We could dress them up for the 19th and 20th of September, but we only get them on loan. For the event.
Hold on, we have something else I had here. Alicia, had you tried to get the grass cut before the event?
I had texted, our landscaper, town's landscaper, and just said, we have an event tonight, can we make sure it gets cleaned up? And I might have emailed DPW before as well. And he said, yes, he'd get it done. And then at like 4 o'clock, he texted me and said, what time's your event start? And I said, it's too late, it already started. But I had given him the next few events, so he had them on his radar as well. My guessing plan's probably been the same.
And lastly, the chief had suggested writing to your legislators to enact some kind of laws or something about these bicycles riding downtown and shirtless people.
Juveniles in general, juvenile.
I agree.
What's that?
The juvenile reform in general.
Juvenile reform in general, yeah, oh man, am I behind that? Can we start with a letter from the mayor and commissioners?
Yeah.
The Maryland Municipal League would be the avenue to go through. So they would represent all municipalities before the General Assembly with a letter from the town where you get squat. You actually need to MML.
Can we get that ball in motion?
So you talking about sending a letter to Baltimore, or you talking about sending a letter to local people here? Or are you talking about both? Right,
Are you talking to me? I
Yeah.
thought you were talking to.
I'm sorry.
Could you repeat the question?
I was saying, are you talking about sending a letter, further to the state or just locally here?
No, to the state.
Try and see, it's tough.
I think we could go.
We have to start, we have to try.
I'm not saying that, I'm saying, it all starts in Baltimore, it has been that way, it's terror there. And, I guess maybe a letter won't hurt, but it'll say something on the behalf of Elkton, Maryland, watching what's unfolding.
So on, I know it's a little ways out, but on, Thursday, October 23rd, I was looking at my calendar, we've got, 2 senators coming into Elkton, one Senator Hershey. And we've got,
The other lady.
I wish I wrote the other senator's name, but is it,
Also, bro, I think it's
and it, our discussion is, flood control related. That I'm bringing them into town for, but we could also, I gotta put together the agenda. We could take a few minutes and talk about this juvenile reform that we need to have, and listen, we can go right to the top two. I would say the Republican senators, and if it's also Brooks is coming,
Yeah.
she's one of our US senators, so that would be phenomenal.
That's all I have.
All right, so did I miss anyone out here in the audience? Did I miss anyone on the, big screen?
You also.
Meeting adjourned.